what you're talking about here seems to me to be exactly the kind of community library relationship we're looking at. And, you know, I remember this being mentioned at a previous, or something like this being mentioned, sort of in relation to the Alan has talked a bit about the business community here and how the city is promoting that. And I remember talking about, well, so I'm really happy to see this. And my next question would be, what role could this board play in promoting these programs?
Yeah, I really do love that question, because it kind of came up in the paperwork that you folks have already generated in terms of your goals and things like that. But you really are sort of our eyes, not sort of, you are our eyes and ears in the community. And so as this gets fleshed out a bit more, we can be a bit more specific about it. I really want to involve you in not only the process of what should this look like, but also how do we reach out to folks and let them know that it's happening. And actually, if on the day that it does happen, if it comes that we do have some refreshments, we would love to involve you even at that level, you know, to come and be a part of the process of the event itself. But as I've asked them to give me a more detailed outline in terms of specifically what are we talking about, what's going to happen, and who's going to do it. And so once that is formulated, I will send it out to you, and then I would love to hear your ideas about what this should look like.
Do people pay attention to, I've heard there's a Kenmore neighborhood website.
There's a Facebook page that's pretty active.
Yeah.
And Kenmore,
Yeah, that's what I've heard of Kenmore neighbors.
and Kenmore City Hall already has these open, what do they call them, open hours or the events?
I think that's what you're talking about. It's the business after hours, and then there's a seminar series. So like this week on Thursday, there'll be a networking for businesses as part of our incubator startup thing. And then on the 14th, they're going to have a seminar. And so it sounds to me like that's what what the library is partnering with the city to provide more content.
Exactly. But we've also, in those drop-in ones, we've also been talking to the city about having one of our librarians set up our little kiosk with the downloads, and so that as folks are walking around, do they have wine? Anyway, as they're walking around with these open houses, we would also like to be able to show them sort of how this whole download thing works and what we can provide. And if they don't have their device with us, they can make an appointment, come back and see us. And it really is a way to kind of get the message out with them. So, you know, Core City Hall, I mean, they're just the library. Too bad for them, but we're so close, because we want to be your new best friends.
I think it's great. What I love about it is, you know, they always use the term leveraging, and the fact that, you know, you've got two groups that united, you do so much better in the synergy. And plus, you're plugging these entrepreneurs, business owners into this whole world that they didn't even know about.
And that they're already paying for. I mean, the folks are already supporting us through their taxes, and especially as a business person that's just starting up, they're already supporting us, and so it's something that they can make some good use out of, where we all benefit. I love it.
Can you access the businesses through the city's website? I know that they're supporting businesses in the incubator, right? I mean, is there a way to access those businesses? Because
Like who they are.
right, because I mean, I remember talking to Alan Van Ness about it, but I mean, it would have been a great, you know, not remembering exactly who it was, it would have been great to just say, oh, well, go to the city hall.
Is there a directory?
It seems like a great way to keep the business local too. Something.
Well, I think you're kind of, so there's a page on the, so yes and no, but there's a page on our website, which is going to change the agenda, that talks a little bit about the incubator and then who's there. There's only 3 businesses there. But if you're talking about the local business structure, that has been...
No, the actual incubator businesses.
Okay. Yeah, they should be listed on the website, but I honestly don't even know what the names are. They're kind of, they're all tech.
Yeah, and then just real quickly, this, as I mentioned, next year is Start to Fitness, and so you might remember that when you did meet Mary, it was when we were just starting to place at the table, and we were sort of looking for ideas. We have a series, for instance, one of the things that we currently are planning on is a series of, I think it's 4 bike-related activities. So it's like how to fix your bike, how to bike safety, all kinds of stuff that's going to be spread among our 3 libraries, and we're primarily here in Bothell, I believe. So that's one of the things we're doing. Daniel James Brown, who wrote Boys in the Boat. Are you familiar with this book? Oh, so good. He's an author who's coming to our cluster, and this is a book about the 1936 Olympics when the University of Washington sent an 8-man crew to the Olympics in Berlin. It is such a good book. So anyway, Mary managed to get this author a commitment from him before he hit it big with Boys in the Boat, so we're really lucky that she has. And the other thing that's in the works is Brad Adam apparently is her Mary's nephew, and he is part of Root Sports. Do you folks know Brad Adam? Am I the only person who doesn't know Brad Adam? Anyway, he's coming. They are hoping to bring the Seahawks to the North Shore Performing Arts Center on April 7th. I know.
Are they going to dance?
Touch football game for the locals?
Yeah, what are they going to do in the performing arts center? That's what I was thinking.
A little tutu. I don't know. Anyway.
It's a different venue than we're used to seeing.
Exactly.
What was the date again?
It's April 7th. She's actually got a date for it.
It's not even the full space. They might show.
That's the second.
Okay, thank you. That's enough for me.
Thanks, Karen. Laura, you're on.
Yeah,
You're all
well,
up to part.
try to be on here.
It's good.
I think there's a button to push. So let there be one.
And then a function.
Lamp? Seems good. Wait a minute. Let me make it, I can open it up and then we'll know what's happening here. So what I asked to have time to do is to show you some pictures of the sort of the Kenmore Village site that we talked about a lot. And so the lower part is being purchased by Benaroya. And so trying to work on tenants. Obviously, the Kenmore camera is working. You see the signs up.
It's looking nice.
Good, yeah. So they're on track. And then Evergreen Hospital still looks like the most likely tenant.
Still
I'm warming it. I'm sorry. Hey, I brought paper, so I wasn't going to take a chance. So if you want paper.
Never believe in
No, I
failed
do.
technology.
They printed them out for me. So what I'm going to focus on tonight is the Kelly Price of Main Street, which is the group that's purchasing the upper parking right line, came and presented to City Council. This is sort of the first peek of what they're going to do here. And I'm not going to take the time to go through every little detail because you have it, but just mainly show you some pictures.
Just need to function F6 or F5, I think.
I knew there'd be more.
And it'll flip your screen.
Function F6.
It's either F6 or F5 generally.
So this is the kind of stuff they've done, right?
Yeah, so they
Get that bike for just a second.
have Bothell, they've done some in Bothell and Kirkland. And I haven't gone around and done them yet, but, so. Oh, wait a minute. Projector. Is that it?
Yeah, you could do duplicate.
Duplicate is better?
Wait.
So was it
Yeah, 'cause then it'll be on
F6?
both screens if you needed it.
So Laura, this is the parking right line?
This one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So F6 is the easy.
No. One more here, maybe?
Well, if you can. I'm sorry, it's not for you guys to see it on.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, so the orange is.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so we all learned together. App source F6.
And then you need to do the little slideshow.
So where am I going?
To the right, one more.
Down.
Right, yeah.
Okay, and then can I, do
And
I?
then you just down arrow.
And down there? Do I just have it down there? Got it. Okay, I have power, look at that. So I'm using
Yeah.
someone else's, yes, thank you. Yay.
Teamwork.
Yeah, I couldn't even have done that. I knew it to call ahead and ask for the cable. That's what I knew. You're ahead of it all.
That was good, because then you had it all there.
Right. So this is some of their history. They came out of another development group, and now they were focusing on multifamily. And Eleanor picked up they just finished this one actually, the one in Kirkland. Sorry. Then in Bothell,
Yeah.
that one is just completed. They said both of them are about halfway leased halfway leased.
Yeah.
And the Six Oaks is one that is under construction, and these are some examples. This is their Slater, the one in Kirkland.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Now, this one's right by my husband's doctor, so I'm going to kind of watching that one. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah. And you can see they kind of have, this is the Bothell one, and they do kind of a more modern look.
Yeah.
And they've incorporated some brick, things like that. This one I think is mixed. I think this one's got some retail in it. And then this actually I thought was kind of interesting. You can see the aerial. So this is what they're building in downtown Bothell. And yeah.
Kitty corner for the library.
Is it?
Right there by the library.
Is that the old Safeway?
Yeah.
Is this the one over by the, where the McMinimus is gonna be?
Yeah, it's right,
Very
it's
close,
right.
yeah.
uh,
Where the North
South
Shore
Shore.
Show
South
Street
Street.
complex was.
This would
Right.
be
So that's what's going to go in there. So that is kind of allowed, isn't it?
Uh-huh, yeah.
So they've really got a lot of, oh, this is the one that
So
has
this
the
is,
retail.
this has retail on.
Yeah, so I was mistaken, the other one doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this, you can kind of see their style. And so this is actually what they proposed for us. And so you can see that little tiny green building to the left, that's Taco Time. So this would be on the 68th Street.
Right across the street from City Hall.
Right, so this is right across the street from
Oh,
City
yeah.
Hall. So they've really tried to complement the styles, and of course, you know, the building here, you know, has that kind of similar look.
directly across.
Is there any retail on the bottom or not? No, it's
So
all
it's
apartment.
being built up, actually, it doesn't drop down anymore.
So it's gonna be a 5-story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this was kind of their premises, is what I mentioned already, to basically style. And the whole eyes and feet on the street is to kind of make it so that there's people looking out on the streets, and so you have that connectivity. You don't have just walls and garages and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, just as a review, so those buildings below is Kenmore Village, the
That's what
lower
it
part.
says, right?
And then the part with the trees is the park and ride lot. So they're gonna actually build about 2/3. They're gonna build basically that first section out. And then the second third will be in this phase 2 closest, away from the road, I guess would be a way to say it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is a more of a detailed site plan.
And that's the parking for that, is that,
Business
or is it
park.
underneath the roof?
It's a combination thereof. So the building that's closest to Kenmore Village is all underneath structured parking.
Okay.
The building that is closest to 68, which you can see there, is what they call tuck under. So it's still not, you know, out in the parking lot kind of thing, but it's tucked under. And then if you kind of just go around the circle to what would be 182nd, there's that one smaller village, it's kind of angled. That's actually townhouses. So they're kind of mixing it
Oh,
up
yeah, I
again.
see.
And then you can see there's still some surface parking. You can see the.
Yeah, I see the spots in front of the town.
And then, I'm not sure what the other building is. And then the part that's right in the center that looks the widest, they're calling that their main grand entry. And so you can see where it's wider and there's more parking. And then their clubhouse with the pool is right along the border, right down at the bottom there. You just continue there. And so there'll be a stairway connection down to the village and that kind of thing. And then the second phase will be the part that's blank. So these are basic concept plans, and obviously they can adjust, but, oh, and then this is like all the trees and landscaping and everything. And so that was the part I was really pretty excited about. They're gonna do a nice setback from 68. There's no sidewalks or anything there now. And they'll have good landscaping and sidewalks and all that. So these are really nice. It's a little bit more of the same. Yeah, that
So
one's
that's the
really
building,
good.
yeah, that one is.
So the pool's closest to the post office, is that right?
Yeah, it would be up above, you know, the parking lot, but that's a good way. And then that's what we were looking at. So they have the shed roofs.
What's gonna happen at the skate park?
They go across the street most likely. So, yeah.
Where the gravel is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, there's probably the asphalt, that's what we designed it for. And I actually kind of think we might try to do some kind of a structured play or something in that ground. Because, you know, the families, this would be an attractive place for them.
Do we know how many units they would be?
I knew somebody's gonna ask me that.
I think it's,
Is it 160? If you go by there now and you see.
Underneath apartments.
Underneath. If you go by and you pull the development sign, it's gonna say like some huge number, like 325. But that's not necessarily what they're gonna build, it's just gonna go through this permitting. What does it say? I think it's 160. But they are gonna have, we're gonna try to have.
115 apartments. Well, that's not a problem. No, it doesn't matter here.
We'll get that. I thought the total was 220 and this was like 160, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. They're bike friendly, they're gonna have a whole bunch of bike racks. They're gonna do low impact development, they're gonna do a built frame 3-star, and then a dimensional pool and all that. And then they're gonna have stairs so that people can get down to the retail.
The covered pool?
I don't know if it's covered, no. I don't know.
You know if it's gonna be indoor or outdoor?
I don't. The way the picture showed it, just kind of made it.
Here's
look-
outdoor.
Yeah.
I bet it's an outdoor August pool.
Are they going to
Yeah,
put in
like the one
a
across the street in the.
traffic light?
Yeah.
It's not called for it. It's called But that's part of what they have to study and all that. So these are some sample interior finishes, so you can see it's all clean and modern. So they're gonna have this really nice lobby and club room and stuff like that.
And it's all apartments, you said, right?
Yeah, at this point they're building apartments. And this is a close-up of the street view, so you can see how there is a double setback. And so you still have some patio, so you have this kind of pretty engaged group. I don't know, people can really sit out on their patios and watch people go by. And again, this is some more interior finishes.
You think it'll necessitate putting a traffic light in?
That's what Sue just asked. They're doing the traffic analysis now, and it doesn't really look like it at this point. It doesn't look like there's any more to read, I mean. So, and then, this one they pointed out, see how they have the brick on the corner, and they're just trying to kind of add consistency. Actually, that little street light on there is actually our signature street light. I don't know if you guys knew this. That was one of the things I spent.
Spend hours
Oh my God.
discussing the street.
I felt so much responsibility for the streetlights because I was the only woman. And it was like, I thought, these guys don't know what to do anyway. I should it's all video. See, now that's what happened. But anyway.
Got some good video
Yeah.
out on the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's about it. But anyway, I just want to give you guys a chance to see. They're basically are fast tracking this. They want to be under construction by next year. And it's about a year construction thing. So, there's always stuff to work out, and we're still working it out. But
What about the rest of the village?
well, that one, as I said earlier, is still in process. It's still all about getting the tenants and all about making it so that it's got to be affordable for the people. I mean, you can't just, what can I say? It's got to make sense within the dollars and cents. But one thing I
Is
forgot
it
to
going to be,
mention.
retail or is it going to be,
Right now, it's a challenging site for retail, I'll be really honest with you. And the Evergreen Hospital and their clinic looks like probably the biggest potential. And then they have said that they would build more than the Evergreen Hospital needs, so you could get a cluster of healthcare providers in there, so it would be a nice clinic, which I
it's
think
going to be a medical?
it could be, yeah. I mean, that's the most likely scenario, and then obviously there'd be those.
So we're still going to be spending our money on other places?
Well, I remember what Alan said last time. The problem is that there's this 5-mile thing that they do. And in Kenmore, that location, part of that 5-mile circle is uninhabited. And it's the water front there. And so there isn't the population that would bring in a Trader Joe's or that, because, it's wetlands. And so it's not, there aren't people
Oh,
there.
you're saying half of the land is not?
Half of the land is
Within a
just
5-mile
not,
radius.
it's not populated, there are no people living on it, so that really skews things, and I think that's what Alan said.
Yeah, and we basically funded a grocery store study so that we could say,
Okay.
look, people, you're gonna make all this money.
And prove otherwise.
They said it wasn't good enough.
And part of it's just what she said, what Lisa said, is you can't, there's a hole in our field.
There's a hole and there's a gap in the hole.
Yeah, and because
the,
Lake Point never went, it has not, so it just isn't good.
But on a more positive note,
Otters
is,
don't
you know,
like
the
Trader
town
Joe's.
green and this sort of signature gathering space, we got $300,000 from the state to build it. And, you know, what that public space looks like is still part of the creative process. And, you know, some of the ideas are to not make it all fully outdoors. Because think about, you know, our weather and, you know, how it would be great to have an indoor outdoor space. And believe me, I have many discussions with my ideas and all that. So that one is definitely a to be continued. And it's clearly it's really interesting because value-wise, I mean, this was like a $3-point-something million that they paid for this. And so the value was in the residential. not as much.
Well, I mean, there's just so much residential in town.
It is true, yeah.
I mean, it's just a huge thing, you know, that there's all, and people from all over the United States are putting money into apartment buildings here because we have the best potential to make money on the rent, because the rents are so high.
And also it's the hiring, you know, the young people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I thought you guys would like that.
Well, maybe we'll get Lake Point.
Be fun.
Yeah, then we'd have someplace to go.
Yeah, it's cold. Crazy sound. Of course,
Oh,
it's
later.
I'm hitting it faster.
You might have to wear it.
Okay, so the next thing. Last winter, I think I brought out a draft, a very early draft. It was just more of a talking point idea for a mission statement to try to maybe refocus this a little bit. It kind of died away. Lisa approached me, I think, over the summer, was interested in revisiting that, and she asked for a copy of it, and I sent it to her. And I'm kicking myself. I'm remiss that I didn't just send it out to the entire board, because here we are now, and it's kind of hard to have a discussion on something when I said, hey, look, here it is. Doesn't mean I'm going to obviously punch it all the way, because I know you want to have this discussion. But the idea behind it wasn't to say, hey, everybody, do you like my mission statement? I think we should do my mission statement. That wasn't it. It was more about what do we want to do going forward? How do we want to determine if we're successful? Which is why it had some generic built-in goals, again, just to spur the conversation kind of thing. And just so we can look back and say, oh yeah, we did this. See, this is, we said we wanted to do this, and this is how we did it. And I thought by building that into either a mission statement or at least attach the goals to that mission statement if we had one, we could give ourselves that purpose that I think a lot of us have been talking about and asking about. And I think you even said it yourself earlier today. You said you wanted to be part of something more. And I think that would help to guide us. At least I know this was pretty passionate to you too.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like, it's been a bit of a rudderless ship once the building was built, and then what? And so I felt like we have lacked focus. I mean, we've lacked focus as long as I've been on this board. And there has been even some discussion of whether this board has a purpose. But before we fold the tent and slink off into the desert, I would like to see if we can't find a purpose. And I get really excited when I hear what Karen's talking about, where we can find a purpose in a liaison between the community as represented by City Hall or not, or other entities in the community, and how the library fits into that, because this is the library board. And to be able, in this really exciting time for libraries and a time of huge transition about the mission of libraries and what they're doing, how we can inform ourselves about how that's going here in one of the premier library systems in the United States, and what that means for our community, and how we can create that liaison with our community, which is so fortunate to be in King County and have this library system. And I'd like to see us actually, find some traction and help and be a part of that.
It does feel, though, that sort of now more than ever, because for years, it was enough that a library existed. community just wanted to have a library. Kids had to do their homework, people would come to libraries to check out books and stuff like that, and it was like a church, it was just something that every community wanted to have. We are no longer in those times. Taxpayers are very aware of how they're spending their money. They can Google their searches just fine at home, and they don't need the help of a reference librarian. And so it's the perfect time. I mean, if the advisory boards have been kind of going along for years just because we needed to have them, now more than ever is when we really need eyes and ears in the community to tell us where we should be. We just can't do it alone anymore. And the fact that people are accessing it so much online, it really does mean that we have to have more tentacles out in the community. And so it's now, after all these years, now is the time when we really need you folks. I just wanted to show you this one figure though. I have search statistics because you mentioned CERC in your mission statement. Search statistics, and in general, we've been losing about 3 or 4% CERC a month in the last year. The CERC is just barely going down. Downloads.
Circulation, you mean?
Sorry.
Circulation,
yeah, sorry.
So actual
items,
things
circulation,
checked out.
yeah.
Okay.
Downloads, however, let's see, for instance, Redmond, our highest searching library because Bellevue was closed for some time. In 2013, Redmond circulated in October, circulated 118,000 items. Downloads for that month were 171,000 versus 118. I mean, the downloads are going up astronomically. And the other thing we found out is that given that number of downloads, that only represents 6% of our cardholders. So we've got this tremendous download thing happening, and it's a tiny percentage of our actual cardholders. So we really do have kind of a foot in each world. We are still trying to serve folks who just want to come in and get a book, they want to hold it in their hand and read it. And the other foot is in that whole technical world. Folks who access us online and never step foot in the library, or they only come in to pick up if they do want a physical book, they get their hold and they zoom out again. So it really is a time when I'm happy that you folks are sort of rethinking your mission because now is really when
So you have huge growth potential in that.
astronomical.
Yes.
Yeah, and also as the publishers are sort of figuring out their pricing and how they're going to deal with libraries and things like that. So that's happening at the same time. So the potential there is huge. And how can I be talking to somebody in Rotary who doesn't know that he can download books for free from the library?
Yeah.
It's one thing to be.
Somebody
Well,
has to
because
support
it's only
the
6% of people are
publishers
actually
selling
doing
the
it.
other books.
Well, they take it, yeah. They're doing it, okay, folks do it okay without us, even
Yeah.
with us, yeah.
So that's really where you need to blab about how to download these books and how to get that growth.
It's true, and it's what those databases are, we spend over, $1 million a year on databases, and it's kind of like, that's really what we want folks to, if they're only going to access us online, for Pete's sake, at least
Look at the
it's
basics.
exploit us
Yeah.
to the entire realm, as
Yeah, yeah.
opposed to just a few things.
So the publishers actually do make money when you loan out their books.
We buy their books, right, yeah.
So you-
Yeah, and it would be an interesting program to have somebody come and talk about that, because there's, for instance, some of the publishers, I think, do something like they charge us 26 downloads, and then they charge us for another book in the same way that they would a physical book. So the pricing structure is interesting and it's fluid, so, and I'm not an expert.
I don't think Amazon even knows their own economics.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Amazon has started free downloads of their books and sign up for their annual account.
Really? Free
As
that?
long as you have a Kindle.
Yeah.
You do two a month. So they're like becoming a library, but they want you to pay that $79 a month. Or $79 a year, sorry.
Well, if you buy a lot of stuff,
Yeah, exactly.
They get up and shipping.
And then, of course, there are all the other things that are happening in libraries that are near and dear to my heart, the maker spaces. And I was thinking recently about, when public libraries were first started and with Carnegie and the whole idea of having, a place for, to promote and inform citizenry. And more than ever, I think we need that. And so in our own community to, for us to be able to focus on, I mean, we've talked about older people, because that's, a significant demographic in this community. We've talked about non-native born people whose service needs, I think we have no idea about. I mean, we can make assumptions, but we're not out there in the communities. I mean, children, of course, although I think children in North Shore are very well served by the schools, because they're very strong supportive libraries in the North Shore schools, but especially as the community changes and people move in here, if we're having the kind of housing that invites people to live here. I mean, a colleague of mine who just began at my workplace, who moved here recently, just decided to move to Kenmore because it's an affordable place to be. And so, it's a really exciting time to really be out there and looking at who is actually here and getting in there and not assuming we know what they want, but really getting out there and finding out what people want, and if they don't know that something exists, to how to present that in the coffee shops, in the incubator, in the whatever, in City Hall.
And I think that's where some of the tools like Community Connect come in, because they can really help focus the delivery as to where's the group that's being missed, and then looking at what their needs are based upon the demographic data, targeted media.
I did pass this, I shared this with Jennifer Wiseman, who works for the system, and she is actually the liaison for advisory boards, and she's actually putting together the forum next week. And we have to get to the friends too, sorry. So her comment was, she thought that your goals were great. She said that to be sure that as you think about doing them, to keep them within your purview in terms of things that you can control. And so what I did is I just photocopied, again, the profile of the Library Advisory Board that I think you probably have already seen. And on the back of that is the introductory letter that Bill Tasic sends out. And so it's just a reminder, sort of, why is it we exist again, and what is your mission? But now as you read through those bullet points of what an advisory board does, I'm hoping that those will feel, that they'll feel even more relevant now as we talk about reaching into the community.
Well, I would be happy if now that we have these documents, if we could agree to talk to really nail this down at our next meeting.
I'd like to set aside some time, and everybody has a chance to look at both the documents, start to maybe brainstorm some ideas, and we can make that a key point next time. If that's okay with everybody? Okay. Thank you. Friends, appreciate your patience.
That's been very interesting. Yeah, it's been very interesting.
Got a handout. Everybody wants more handouts, right?
I think you're very renewable.
Our executive.
In the past, as an example, when the library opened at its new location, we looked for help with the opening festivities and everything, and fortunately, members of this board were very, very helpful and there for us, and we enjoyed the whole party. And we got to thinking that there are a lot of other things coming up that we're dealing with in the way of fundraising, and we're always looking for help with some of those things. So I listed a few things that are coming up this month and in the next couple of months. And if anyone, again, has a spare hour or a few minutes to help out, there are some things coming up that we would appreciate any extra hands in doing.
What time of day are these?
Well, for instance, the very first one, setting up a holiday mini sale, has to be in the evening Thursday this week, because the library meeting room here is in use so much that in order to get out a table or two, set it up right out here and load some books and stuff on it before the sale begins Friday. It's one of those things that's easiest to do at night. So working around the use of this room is one of our little problems with setting up any of the mini sales. And we're concentrating on books about the holidays coming up. And we have books and movies and music and about 5 boxes full of things down in storage down in the garage that we're going to bring up and set up. So it wouldn't take long. It takes even less, the more people you have. So the one thing though that we all have every month at Lake Forest Park is a book sort. When people bring their books to sell them to Third Place Books, and Third Place Books says, gee, that's great, but we really don't want these. Do you want to take them home or do you want to donate them to the library? And people usually leave them, and Lake Forest Park was overwhelmed and asked us, do you want to have some of these? And so we go there once a month and spend a couple of hours going through all these donated books and finding some for our own sale here. And that's a regular thing every month. It's a couple of hours, but it's fun digging through all that stuff. It really is. And we usually end up with, 5 or 6 boxfuls that we can bring back here and include in our sale. Some great stuff.
And again, is there a time attached to that?
That particular one on the 3rd Thursday each month is at 2 p.m. at Lake Forest Park. We meet at the library there.
Does Lake Forest Park Library take some of them too then?
Oh, yeah. The other 3 weeks of the month, they're taking donations. And by way of inclusiveness, Kenmore High School has students that come over to them once a week and moves those donated books from upstairs at Third Place Books down to a location where they're kept in a closet down below. So the school kids get involved as well. It's a continual donation of time and effort.
So
This is on every 3rd Thursday of the month. This month it's November 21st. And it's at 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, I had that in my original notes that I typed up, and I deleted them accidentally and had to start all over again in a big hurry. So, 2 o'clock.
So you're looking for volunteers not only among these folks, but among folks that they might know?
Oh,
like
absolutely.
neighbors and friends
Anybody
and
you know who might be interested. Now,
I might be interested in that.
okay, that's kind of fun. Yeah.
And the email on the back is a good contact.
Yes,
If,
there is an email, KLA for email is our official organization's email address. So we posted it out here by our book sale if anyone has any questions regarding our organization, or in this case would like to volunteer, or know someone who'd like to volunteer, that would be the best place to start. Just contact us there and let us know. We're going to be doing some holiday decorations here, November 30th. That will be probably 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's see, November 30th. I think that's a Saturday? Let's see, November 30th, that's a Saturday. And basically what we do is we go to the Safeway store, pick up a dozen poinsettias, and have them pre-ordered so they'll have enough of them. And we bring them over here. They're in boxes. They're wrapped up in brown paper, and we have to unwrap them and give them up around the library here for decorations. That's all there is to that. We're going to do a mini sale twice because we do have a lot of books to sell for the holidays. And after each of those sales is over, the following Monday is a takedown. I try to do that early in the morning. That would be a Monday morning, and that's a matter of boxing everything up again off these tables and returning the tables to this room for any classes or anything that's going on. Try to stay out of their way. And then we're going to do another mini sale in January, New Year's. It will probably focus on self-improvement. People get into diets and all kinds of stuff that time of year, exercise, so we've saved a few things, self-improvement. No, that's the reason we went with the idea of the mini sale, because they're just laid out there by a particular subject matter, and people can pay for them at the front desk just like they do with our regular little book sale. So we don't have to have a lot of volunteers to sit as cashiers and that sort of thing. And we get rid of a lot of these extra books and keep working on that.
We works,
Mhm,
it
yeah.
works well.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
kind of-
So that's kind of how we have set it up, and yeah, so far it's done very well.
So most of your effort is putting it set up.
Right, yeah, and putting things back the way
It's
they were.
there for a couple days.
Mhm. Yeah, and I have some posters right now up by our little book sale out here advising people of those upcoming sales. And then in March, we do the Heron Watch, which is over at the fire station, meeting room. We provide refreshments. It's kind of a 3-hour commitment because we set up the refreshments and organize the chairs. At around 11, between 11 and noon, people are out at the heronry watching the birds, and then they walk back to the fire station for a video presentation, a slideshow presentation from the Ottawa people, and then we have the refreshments there, and then there's the cleanup and rearranging the room back to the way it originally was. But the slideshow that they did was great. It's a lot of fun to watch that. And so we're there for that. And we'll be setting up other mini book sales in the future. If anyone wants to know more about what we're doing during that time, we have our next meeting here, November 19th at 7, and then we have one in January 21st, and that's when we'll be anticipating other dates for other activities. So if anyone wants to get a little more inside info as to what we're going to be doing.
What about PM, which is the first one, November 15 and 16? What time if we want to come to help? November 14, Thursday?
Thursday evening, I'm trying to think of when I have to look at the schedule for this room and find out if there's anybody in this room that evening. And if not, we can come right in and get the tables we need. Otherwise, I'm going to have to find out exactly what time frame I've got as far as getting into this room and moving the tables out. So if you might be interested, it would probably be anywhere from 6 to 8 p.m. That's the general window of time. And that's why I scheduled the takedown so early the following Monday, because after 10 o'clock they start scheduling things for this room. And then you can't get in here. So that's kind of what we've got planned coming up. And, anyone who wants to get a little involved with that would be a lot of fun. Get first look at what we're putting out for sale. We're even going to try to put out a few rare books if anyone's thinking in terms of gifts for someone.
I just want to mention that Marla maintains this book sale space almost daily, right?
Well, I love doing it. And then a half a block away, and I said, I was going to be a library or work in a bookstore, so.
There you are.
I love that business. It's so much fun. I really, truly
And
enjoy
Marla
it.
was recognized at Friends Day, which was last weekend, for her efforts on behalf of the Kenmore Friends. And I have to tell you that the staff, and by extension the public, so appreciate all of the work that you folks do. It's just amazing that you've done shouldered all of this on your own for so long.
And Sue did so much by herself for years, everything too.
That's why it's
So-
great that you're
Yeah.
sort of extending out an invitation to
Oh,
folks to join
yeah.
it, because you really have shouldered it, and you make all the difference in the world in what we can offer to the public. So
I never have to walk away, so it's so simple. I think it's just so.
What is the commitment that you have?
Yeah, Marla is now a member of the Friends Hall of Fame.
That's a record show.
So you guys, do you have any idea of the total amount that you bring in yearly from these sales? Or maybe-
From the little sale out here, we've got over 3,000 so far for this year.
That's amazing.
And probably sales and the continued sales, it'll probably hit around 4,000. I'd say that's about average.
And what, besides like decorations and refreshments?
Decorations, we are just agreed to provide funding for buying books. The children's librarian bought some books.
Is the Global Reading Challenge? I think
Yeah.
so these folks and Bottle Friends have bought classroom-sized sets of books, and the kids read these different books, and then they have quizzes on them, and they test each other on them. But these sets are different from school sets because they actually get to, of the 5 or something titles, they get to choose which one they want and they take it home. So, and this has been, maybe it was, the shows I've been involved in, was really excited about being able to offer. This is the first time we've ever been able to offer to as many schools as we have. I can't remember how many, it's like 3 or something.
Yeah, there's a few things that the KCLS system used to fund, and then they kind of changed their minds about a few things, and we stepped in and said, well, no, we'll fund it.
We bought our furniture outside.
Yeah, furniture.
And lots of pizza.
Yeah, for the teens, yeah, lots of pizza.
Great work out there, thank you.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
I actually had on here meeting dates is next. That was an old item that I forgot to remove from a prior agenda. We've already taken care of our meeting dates.
Have we really?
I thought we did. No?
Odd months and.
Yeah, it was
certain
January, March.
So it's odd months now? Is it still the same?
First
Yeah,
Tuesday?
Yes, yeah.
So it's odd months?
Because we switched because this avoided the December holiday period.
And odd months, okay, first Tuesday.
And then, so we need to make sure that this room is available for us, right?
Yeah, I was wondering where we were with meeting dates too, so, yeah. Did you talk about last time, Jim? I should see if I dropped you my whole video.
I've seen it.
I wouldn't be quite so
That
clueless.
was the other thing I was
I
thinking.
think we did talk about it last time.
Coming meeting dates would be helpful.
Yes.
So then the next meeting will be in January then, right?
Yeah, so what are we,
So,
how are we doing on January?
So, yeah.
So first Tuesday in January the 7th?
January
perfect.
7th?
Okay, perfect.
So,
7th and then
March 4th?
4th.
The only day that's also a sentence.
May 6th.
You don't know that for sure.
Spoke like a true
Yeah,
Hungarian.
March 4th. Birthday.
Oh,
March
that's
4th.
too funny. Oh my gosh.
May 6th.
Yeah.
May what?
May 6th. July 8th.
July.
It's working pretty well.
September
Oh, pardon me,
2nd,
September
actually.
2nd.
That one I
Is that the holiday? Is that
Yeah.
Labor Day?
Yeah, it's the
Why don't we
day
do the
after
9th?
Labor Day.
Why don't we do the 9th?
Okay.
know.
Actually, that's what I showed.
So 9/9?
Yeah.
Yeah, that evening.
March 4th.
Dear goodness. These little.
And then November 4th.
November 4th.
Okay.
I'm all set for the year.
That was easy.
One, but
May.
May was 6th.
Sorry, 6, 7, 8.
6.
Same time, 7 o'clock.
And if there's a conflict here.
Okay.
So funny, whenever I see new business, and we went through all this new stuff actually. It's more about for the general welfare. Maybe I'll change that in the future. Is there anything out there?
Just, we probably need to have somebody look at our terms and make sure that everybody's not expired or
We did
anything.
that last time too.
For
I
next
thought I saw a chart last time.
Are we done?
You brought a chart. I did that.
Yeah.
You know we're missing.
But that was 2 weeks ago.
We
because
haven't
Alex
been
was
here for a
last
while,
And
so.
I would say it's 6 months.
Okay.
And I don't remember what we decided after looking at it. I don't think anybody was expired at the moment, or we had reviewed something. I'm not sure.
So maybe I just need
remember
to do it,
seeing
and if
it.
there's a problem, I'll, or if.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
just
so.
put that on my list.
You may even have it in your, if you wrote it, you might have it in your.
Yeah, my computer, yeah.
Yeah.
If they're expired, you have to tell them. It's not, let it go.
Only if they fall over.
Somebody should,
That's right, in their face, right?
Yeah, we have a hard
somebody, who would that be?
Teen librarian?
Yeah,
We're
we're
not, we're not like, we're hasn't shown up for a while. Maybe we
So I
need to
have no
put it in.
I did update it to position.
Oh,
You did.
Is that something? Katie, did you?
Yeah.
you got 5-year terms at one time?
5 years.
Well, Ellen Stein, Vice President, first year appointed 2007, term expires 2012.
Yeah, Did I write that on the whole list?
You can check in, but you can't check out.
Yeah, it does look like most we expired 2014.
The end of the year, yes. Okay, so no, nothing expires the end of 2013? Okay, great. That was all I needed. Look at that.
I found it. I actually keep some of this.
I am very happy. I have my folder.
Great,
here.
it's in Kenmore.
You know what's bad is I put it in here, but I really need to organize it, so I don't have to wonder what's in
But
it.
you have it, and you found it.
Oh, I see.
Well, if there's nothing else, I
I
think we'll
move to adjourn.
adjourn.